Okay, hello. My name is Bray, but you can call me Bray Bray. I am here to try and make something of a tutorial for one of my favorite games, the XCOM Files, which is a mega mod pack for Open XCOM Extended. So, first things first, let's go over some options. For video, I would just say whatever you feel comfortable with. My monitor display is 1920 by 1080, and that's what I like. Playing in borderless, but you can obviously change that. You can turn on a bunch of filters, but they make recording not look good, so they're all off. Change your language, of course. Geoscape and battlescape size. This just is going to say, hey, when I'm on one of these menus, either the Geoscape or the battlescape, it's going to try and scale it in a way that prevents you from getting a bunch of squished up pixels. Otherwise, it'll just be, if you pick one of these resolutions down here, these are the original resolutions the game supported. So it's just going to make that and then stretch it horribly. I recommend using the times options, and then for that, once you're in the game, just play with them until you get one that looks good to you. Other than that, pretty self-explanatory for your display options. Next up, audio. However you like. I've got them here so I can talk over the game because I'm a very quiet talker. For the controls, you can go through here. I would recommend not changing anything. I've changed a few things, but don't change anything unless you know what you're doing, because you might delete an option that you need. Just come through here whenever you're in the game. If you're trying to figure out, hey, what button do I need to hit for this? The two tabs up here are Open XCOM's base controls and then controls added by the extended version, such as being able to quick save using F6. Next up, Geoscape options. Just how to scroll around on the Geoscape. What's important though are these four options here. These are extra display options you can use in the game, which are, I think, very helpful. So, display the countries on the globe, display your radar paths at your bases, or radar ranges at your bases, and then your flight paths for any vehicles you have moving around. Also, displaying your funds. In the base game, normally you'd have to open up your base to look at how much money you have, which is kind of annoying, especially when you're trying to wait for time to pass and money to roll in so you can actually make a decision about what do you want to spend it on. Battlescape. You can turn on or off edge scrolling. I prefer to have edge scrolling off. That way I can move my mouse off my screen here without any problems. I use middle mouse button to drag my view around. You can change different speeds here. Path previews are, in my opinion, very important because it shows you exactly how your units are moving on the battlescape. You'll see that when we go over a tutorial for the battlescape, though. Time units as well. Time units just are basically how much stuff you can do in a turn. The less time units you have, the less stuff you can do, and then when you end your turn, you start a new turn with full time units. But we'll go over that. Energy, I don't like to have displayed, mostly because it's just adding extra clutter to it. Next up, tooltips, which, hey, look at that. Tooltips, very important, very helpful to have. And then death notifications. Whenever a soldier dies, you will get a pop-up that covers the entire screen that says soldier has died with their name and everything. Very helpful if a grenade goes off and kills multiple soldiers at once. You probably want to know exactly who died. That way you just don't see one body fall due to how the camera is placed, and then, oops, 3 people died off screen, and you don't know until your turn starts. Advanced options. There's a lot of them. What I recommend is check your autosave frequency. Maximizing info screens, I prefer that off. Check your FPS limits. And then you also have VSync. I recommend leaving it on, but obviously do what you prefer. You'll see here some options are purple. These are options that the mod forces on and will not let you disable. These are done for balance reasons, so you cannot change them unless you crack the game wide open, which is not that hard, given it's a open source port. Anyways, some of these are just control options, like, hey, you can invert your drag scrolling. Some of these actually have gameplay, like, hey, if the enemies know where your base is, they are always going to attempt to attack your base. The ones I recommend turning on are custom initial base, allow building queue. Both of these are very helpful for new players, mostly because the initial custom base is, if it gets invaded, it's actually hard to defend. And then also, it helps you decide, hey, when I build the very first base, maybe I want it to look a certain way. And then building queue basically allows you to sink money into future projects without having to wait for, oh, the first building's being built, I have to wait for the second one to be built before I can put that next one in the queue. It doesn't speed anything up, it just allows you to buy that earlier, which helps for planning. And then I like field promotions. Basically, it means that only the soldiers that go out into battle get the promotions. If there's a soldier at a base, they will not receive a promotion whatsoever. They have to go out on the mission to earn it. Battlescape. I believe I have save pre-primed grenades on. Yes. That is... It helps a lot when you are carrying around flares. Flares are a type of grenade that shed light, and so you always want those primed, because it sucks to start a battle and then realize, oh, the 4 flares I have in my soldier's backpack are not actually primed, and now I have to spend an entire turn priming them. I don't remember if auto end battle is automatically on, but it's good to have, because having the battle automatically end helps a lot. Although some people turn it off in order to squeeze out a little bit of extra stuff before the turn ends. Confirm fire mode is very important. If you misclick, you have to misclick twice in a row for it to actually take the shoot command. Allow psi capture, I believe, is on by default, but make sure it's on. It means that you don't have to shoot or stun enemies that you have dominated the mind of. And then I have skip next turn screen on. So when your turn comes up, it'll just automatically roll into your turn instead of waiting for you to confirm it. And then suppress panic messages for aliens. This means that if you kill a bunch of aliens, the one in a closet across the map will not show a giant pop-up saying, Alien Soldier 1 is panicked. In the extended options, definitely turn up the number of autosave slots, turn on autosave frequency for the Geoscape. The number here will just say how many days it goes before every autosave, which starts at 0, which means nothing. So I like it at 10 days between autosaves. And then autosave slots for the Geoscape. Extended leaks are extra options and buttons for XCOM Extended. I think that should be on. Other than that, I don't think I changed around a lot of the other options. So, now that we've gone over the options, let's go over how to start a new game. So, for newer players, I always recommend playing on beginner, leave Iron Man off. You will never play with Iron Man unless you know exactly what you're doing, because it means you're going to have to restart the game every single time you get into a unwinnable situation, or a situation where you're losing badly and don't want to invest the time to improve. Now, here's our Geoscape. As you can see, we got a day-night cycle, we got all the continents, even Antarctica, and even some stuff in the Arctic. We need to place our first base. So as you can see around the cursor here, we have a bunch of rings. These show you radar paths, but we don't actually start with a radar at the beginning of the game. We just have a thing that will tell us when we have certain events happening across the map. So let's go ahead and place our first base. There is a strategy to this because events for certain things spawn only in certain areas of the world. Without giving too much away, they spawn in Asia, Europe, North America, and then also South America. Africa also gets some, as does Australia, but it's mostly focused on Asia, Europe, North America, and parts of South America. The easiest way to cover the most amount of space is to build a base somewhere in this area. So you're thinking, okay, somewhere probably around Kyrgyzstan or Tajikistan or Uzbekistan is a very central area for this. You can even go into Georgia if you want to be a little bit closer to Europe than Asia. Or if you want to be even closer to Asia, you could probably build somewhere around where Tibet would be. Curse you on China policy. If you really wanted to build in the Americas, it's probably better to build actually between the two of them. So somewhere down here, around Guatemala, Panama, that'll be pretty helpful in terms of coverage and travel times. But let's go ahead and build a base. We'll just call it here. Base name, whatever you like. Right. Only so many options. Okay. Now, because we turned on that initial custom base option, we get to place the access lift. This is going to be your, these are underground bases, so this is going to be the main entryway to your facility. Then you have hangars. This is where your vehicles are stored, and also when you are invaded, the access lift and hangars are where the aliens will spawn. This means that I like to keep the hangars and access lift separated from the rest of the facility. You also start with a corridor, which is a very good choke point to connect to your access lift. And then for the rest, just put it down however you like. There are no adjacency bonuses that I'm aware of. There we go. Game is started. There is no pause, but 5 seconds is basically a good enough pause. Now, let's go through all the UI here. I didn't really talk much about the Geoscape UI, but there's the circle here with the arrows pointing in each direction. You can click on these to manually rotate, because this game originally was barely able to be controlled with anything but a mouse. Or if you play with the keybinds, you can either use the arrow keys or WASD. I prefer WASD to move around the map. You can use your scroll wheel to scroll in and out, or click here. Each click is one movement. The closer you move in, the more details you see. The further you move out, the less. As you can see, we got a day-night cycle going on, and you can see... Oh, okay. Well, I've already gone ahead of things, I guess. As time passes, it'll start moving around. That does matter. Battles in the dark are a lot scarier and a lot more difficult to win. A random event appeared. These happen all the time, and when you first start your when you first start your X-Files, the XCOM files, geez. When you first start your XCOM files game, you're going to have a bunch of these right at the start, and it's going to be you getting introduced to the officers around your base. It's going to be a cute little blurb, and then you're going to see okay and items arriving. Definitely click on items arriving to see what they bring you. All of these introductions give you one random item. Some are more useful than others, and that's okay. When you get this introduction, you'll also get a little display here. You have the topic of research. In this case, this is your intelligence officer's portrait. And some dialogue here. I'll let you go over that when you like. Next up, let's take a look at the base screen. So mousing over a single piece of the base, it'll give you the name. If I click on it with my left mouse, it'll ask me if I want to dismantle it. I do not want to do that. If I right click, I can manage that building. These are all various other options you can pull up here, but it's very easy to just pull up a specific thing by right-clicking on it and just seeing, hey, what does this give me? Right-clicking on the access lift takes me back to the Geoscape. While I'm on the Geoscape, you can see my base here. It's the blue square that's flashing slightly. And also you can see the name. Clicking here will show me vehicles that are available to intercept or launch. I can click on this to send it out, or I can just go to the base. So now we're back here. We can build new bases. It'll show you the same rings of radar. When you click, it'll show you the cost and the area. The cost depends not on the country, but the area. In this case, usually that's the continent. Some cost more than others. But your first base is free. Oh, jeez. And you can cancel out there. Here's some base info. You can click through here to look through the other bases. It's going to show you things like number of agents, which are your soldiers, number of engineers and scientists. First number is going to show you how many are available, and then the total. Next up, this is individual pieces of your base and their resources. So living quarters, we have 12 people living here. We can hold up to 50. Storage, we're only using 4 units of storage, and we have 125. 0 people working in the labs out of 5. 0 space used in the workshop out of 10. We have no alien containment, and we have 2 hangars, one of which is occupied. Bottom here, we have defense strength, short range detection, and long range detection. Defense strength is just a measure of your like missiles and other base defenses. It'll weaken up aliens as they invade. Short range detection and long range detection are just different forms of radar. You can see here are transfers. This shows you if there are any transfers between your bases and how long they're going to take. You can check your storage. You can see here the actual size of each individual unit, the quantities, and the exact amount of space used per when you total things up. And then you can also see all bases, which we only have 1 base, but this also includes everything on your ships. Next up, monthly costs. We pay $1,000 a month to rent a car. And then we also have our agent salaries, engineers and scientists. Other employees includes things like dogs that you train. And then base maintenance, which is determined by the modules in the base. Certain ones cost more. And you can see here your income, maintenance, and that way figure out your actual net income or gross income. Cool. Agents. So you can see here we have 6 agents. 2 of them are in a car. 4 of them are just sitting around doing nothing. They've got stats. Stats are hard to explain just here, but basic rundown is time units is how much you can do in a turn. A lot of things aren't just a time unit cost of, oh, it costs 4 time units to do this. A lot of them scale to your maximum time units. So even if you have 150 time units, you can still only shoot that gun 3 times because it costs 1/3 of your time units per shot. What does help, though, is it basically means that you're able to move over terrain faster because terrain costs are usually a flat amount that don't scale. Stamina. This goes down as you move. So if you're moving a lot, you'll have to stop in a long dash, basically, to recover some stamina. Health. If it hits 0, you're dead. If it goes down, your other stats get lowered, which sucks. And then also there's a mechanic called Fatal Wounds, which causes you to bleed out if you get bad luck on getting hit. Bravery. Kind of a hard thing to explain, but the lower your bravery, the more often your soldier will panic. The higher it is, the less often they'll panic. Reactions. Complicated subject again. Basic description for it's going to be if your character has a lot of time units left and has a high reaction score, when they see an enemy walking by or doing something, there's a good chance that they'll take a shot at them when it's your enemy's turn. If you have no time units, it doesn't matter how good your reactions are or aren't, you will not take the shot because you don't have any time units to spend. Having a high reactions also means that you are less likely to get reacted upon by an enemy. So, usually the people with high reactions are the ones who are kicking in doors and entering buildings first. Firing accuracy, pretty self-explanatory. Same with throwing accuracy. Same with melee accuracy. Lastly, we have strength. That's how much you can carry. There's also a lot of melee weapons that add bonus damage depending on your strength score. And lastly, sanity. Sanity is kind of a fatigue mechanic. Most missions don't drain sanity, but there are some that do, and it takes a long time for sanity to recover. Once your sanity starts dropping, you start getting some penalties, and eventually when it hits 0, you will just start slowly having your soldiers go insane, which is no good. Here we can flip through all of our other soldiers. You can look at what armor they're wearing, which currently we only have suits. You can look at the bonuses here under the plus thing. That's going to open up the... So this little plus here shows us our bonuses. These are basically achievements and medals the soldiers get. At the start, you'll only have original member for the 6 agents you have. No other agent can get this, even if you hire them in. So, they're a little special. This is the Stat for Nerds menu that shows up when you click on certain things. That gives you like the behind the screens look. So you can see it increases all of our stats by 1. Next up, we can click sack to fire someone. We don't want to fire anyone yet. Then we have files. This is just a bunch of other stuff to track what they've been doing. You can even change what country they're from, change their names. And if you click on the R here, which is their rank. Oh, no, never mind. I thought that would take them to take me to their menu. You got a memorial here for all agents who have died. You can put them in training and gyms. This will slowly increase their stats. Up to a certain cap, though. And the plus there shows you how much it's gone up. Okay. Equipping craft. We've got 1 car. We can reassign people to the car, but we only have 2 spaces. 2 space available, 0 space available, 2 space used. Preview is an option that allows you to basically practice. So this is what the battlescape looks like, but oh. There we go. Okay. Next up we have equipment. We start with some gear on the base already. I like to unequip everything because I'm not a huge fan of the starting equipment, and I'm going to sell some of it. Next to armor, we only have the suit. Once we unlock other types of armor, here is where we could click and select new types of armor to equip our soldiers with. Next up, pilots. Pilots are your agents, actually. So Pedro here is the pilot. Pilots get random stats as well, and as their stats improve, their performance improves. Pilots aren't necessary until you deal with actual interceptions, which means dogfights and other things like that, where you're having aerial combat. If you're just driving out to go check out Sasquatch sightings, piloting doesn't matter much. Building facilities. So we can build new facilities here as needed. I'm going to build another gym first thing. And then I think that's it for now. The reason why I'm building another gym is because I want to buy a lot of agents for my first base. Oh, also I should build another hangar. That way I can have extra cars. Research. We're going to have very little research at the start, and all of those random events I showed off earlier will add new research. So I'm going to wait until... Well, no, I should get started. So, because we only have 5 scientists at the start, and we have a bunch of topics that are going to roll in, I'm just going to assign all of them here to General Strategy for XCOM GIB. Now, the important thing here about this is you can actually click with the middle mouse button to look at the tech tree. If you think this is a spoiler, trust me, it's not. This is intended game mechanics. You can right-click on things to change their highlighting, which is helpful in a lot of ways. So if there is, like, this is how they default to. If there's something I want to research next, I can right-click on it to make it white, and that'll tell me, hey, definitely look at this. And if I want to research something later, I can right-click twice. Now it turns purple. Now I can say, okay, I'll research that after all the white stuff is done. And then anything that rolls in is going to be more of a pinkish color. And that's going to tell me I haven't looked at it yet. Not much else to that, though. Manufacturing. Can't do any of it yet. You'll get some more stuff through research. Transferring. We have no other bases. Nothing to do with that yet. Buying and selling. You are running this as a business. You are making money. You are selling things. You are losing a lot of money every month as well. So, you need to decide what you want to buy, what's worth buying, and what's worth selling. We'll go over more of actually what I want to do probably next time. Then selling. Not much else there. Next up, graphs. These are helpful, but a little complicated. UFO activity in areas. You can use this to try and figure out, hey, are there any UFOs flying around that I can't see but are being reported? And then specific countries. The XCOM activity in areas. Basically, the more XCOM activity there is, the less impactful UFO activity is. Income. These are all going to have different colors, but obviously the richer countries are going to have more income for you, so you probably want to protect them. And then finances. This is probably the most important one. You've got your income, your expenditure. In this case, expenditure and maintenance are exactly the same, but maintenance is more specifically related to the upkeeps of the bases as well as anything else. Excuse me. And then you have your balance, which is going to show you the income minus expenditure. Lastly, your score. Your score is where you live and die. Literally. If your score gets too low, you'll receive a warning at the end of the month telling you to improve. If you don't improve, then you get fired and the game's over. If your score drops way too low, you are immediately fired at the end of the month. This depends on your difficulty as well. The lower difficulty, the lower your score can go before you start getting penalized. The higher your score goes, the more likely it is that the game will begin to advance the meta plot, which is dangerous. Next up, the UFOpedia. There are so much things in here. As you can see, this, the intelligence officer introduction, is something we've already seen, so it's colored differently. And yes, you can click on them to change their color with right click. These act as a bit of a tutorial and lore dump. Some of these will have no options because you haven't found them yet. So this is part encyclopedia, part lore dump, part tutorial, all rolled into one. I recommend looking through sections that you don't understand to try and figure out what they mean. For example, XCOM vehicles. Why is public transport here? What does this mean? Well, this is just, lore, flavor. But when you actually click on public car, it shows you a bunch of stats. And a GTA screenshot put through a filter. This is not too important. The main thing is the max range is larger than the entire world, which is nice. So you never have to worry about your public transport running out of fuel. You're just going to go to another one. The text here hints that it is undetectable, which is nice. Basically, our soldiers will never get ambushed by other vehicles while going around in public cars. Mud Ranger, however, is a troop transport that can move around. Unfortunately, the effective range is very small, and we're probably never going to buy one. You can see a bunch of other things. XCOM armament specifically refers to vehicle weapons and equipment. Enemies and allies. When it starts out, you're just going to have only basically NPCs that sometimes show up in missions. Field equipment is going to be your actual gear you bring into the mission. For example, Colt 45. You're going to see here the time unit costs on the right and the accuracy on the left. This is a percentage of your character's firing accuracy, and that's going to give you your actual chance to hit. So a snapshot does not have an accuracy of 75. It is 75% of your firing accuracy, which is not great. You'll also notice that the improvement for aimed shots is only 80% for nearly double the time unit cost. This is part of the mod where aimed shots are accurate out to longer ranges than snapshots, which is helpful. You can also see the weight of the weapon. The first one, 5, is just the weight of the weapon, and then 7 is the weight of the loaded weapon, meaning that each magazine weighs 2 units. You can see the magazine here holds 7 rounds and deals 30 kinetic damage. There are complicated things there. Info. Holy shit, there's so much info. It's a lot, but I'm not going to go over all of it because it honestly doesn't really matter. Next up, options menu. You can load your game, save your game, abandon your game, or pull up the options menu from the main menu. Next up, extended. So this is going to show you better menus than the ones we saw earlier. So you can see the funding for every single country as well as the change from last month. Generally, if a country is removing funding, that means that there's events going on there that you did not respond to that they are upset about. The more you respond to events in a country, the higher their funding will rise. There's the tech tree viewer, which we saw, research overview, which just pulls up the research menu immediately, production overview, which is the same for manufacturing, global tracker. If there are any events, you can click on that, and it will pull up all of the events at once that you can pick from a list, which is very helpful when you have 5 of them at the same time. Daily pilot experience. Honestly, I don't know too much about what that does. Notes. I can make notes. Very helpful when you're playing this and then put it down for a bit and then come back to it. You can leave a note saying, hey, do this. You can change the music tracks. Currently it's playing Someone's Dead. Now it is playing The Waste Planet. Then there's the test screen. I've never used that before. Okay. I am going to create a new game. Save. And then I'm going to abandon to go back to the main menu. Alright, I'm going to stop here, and then next time it's going to be how to use the battlescape, because that one is a little more complicated. Goodbye, everybody.